everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm Jason, and today we have an exciting episode for you. If you've ever felt stuck in English, maybe you forget words, hesitate while speaking, or just don't know how to keep a conversation going, don't worry. You're not alone, and today we're going to help you break free from that frustration.
That's right, Jason. Hi, everyone. I'm Julia, and I totally understand how it feels to get stuck when speaking English. I've seen so many learners lose confidence because they get stuck on a word or can't express themselves the way they want. But here's the good news. There are simple and effective ways to never feel stuck again.
Exactly. In today's episode, we're going to talk about why learners get stuck in English, and more importantly, how to overcome it. By the end of this podcast, you'll have practical tools to speak more smoothly, think in English faster, and never freeze in a conversation again.
So if you're ready to boost your English confidence and speak without hesitation, stay with us till the end.
All right, let's start by understanding why English learners often feel stuck. What's really going on? Let's break it down. So, before we talk about how to never get stuck in English, let's first understand why it happens in the first place. Julia, from your experience working with English learners, what do you think is one of the biggest reasons people feel stuck?
Great question, Jason. One of the most common reasons is lack of confidence. Many learners are afraid of making mistakes, so they hesitate and overthink before speaking. They feel nervous, and that nervousness makes them forget words, even words they already know.
Yes, and the funny thing is, even native speakers make mistakes all the time, but they don't worry about it. They just keep going. But when English learners make a mistake, they feel embarrassed and stop talking.
Exactly. And that leads to the second big reason, fear of judgment. Many learners worry too much about what others will think. They ask themselves, what if I say something wrong? What if people laugh at me? But in reality, most people don't care if you make a small mistake.
That's such an important point. Let me ask our listeners, have you ever stopped yourself from speaking because you were afraid of saying the wrong word? If yes, you're not alone. Now, another reason learners get stuck is limited vocabulary. Julia, have you ever heard someone say, I want to say something, but I don't know the right word?
Oh, all the time. If you don't have enough words to express your thoughts, you will get stuck. But here's a secret: you don't need a big vocabulary to speak fluently. You just need to learn how to explain things in different ways.
Exactly. And we'll talk about how to do that later in this episode. But another reason people struggle is overthinking grammar. Some learners try to make their sentences perfect before they even say them.
Yes, and that makes them speak very slowly, or worse, they just freeze. Grammar is important, but it should never stop you from speaking.
All right. So far, we've talked about lack of confidence, fear of judgment, limited vocabulary, overthinking grammar. But there's one more reason why people feel stuck: lack of practice. Julia, do you think watching videos and studying grammar is enough?
Not at all. Many learners spend hours watching English lessons, but they never actually speak. Speaking is a skill. You have to practice it.
Exactly. So, if you ever feel stuck, don't worry. It's not because you're bad at English. It's just that you need the right methods to overcome these challenges. And that's what we're going to talk about next.
Yes. Now that we know why learners get stuck, let's move on to the first solution: changing your mindset. Because fluency starts in your mind.
All right. Now that we know why learners get stuck, let's talk about the first and most important solution: changing your mindset. Because let's be honest, fluency isn't just about words and grammar. It starts in your mind.
That's so true, Jason. If you believe that English is too difficult or that you're not good at languages, then guess what? you'll always feel stuck. But if you change your mindset and see English as a skill that improves with practice, everything changes.
Yes, and one of the biggest mindset shifts is this. You don't need to be perfect to be fluent. Julia, have you ever met someone who speaks perfect English 100% of the time?
Never. Even native speakers make mistakes, pause, and sometimes forget words. The difference is they don't let it stop them.
Exactly. Fluency doesn't mean speaking perfectly. It means speaking comfortably. It means expressing yourself without fear. So, if you've been waiting to be perfect before speaking, stop right now. The best way to improve is to start speaking today.
And here's another mindset trick. Mistakes are not bad. Mistakes help you learn. Think about a baby learning to walk. Do they fall? Of course. But do they stop trying? No. They keep going until they get better.
Yes, but many English learners think, "Oh no, I made a mistake. I'm bad at English." That's the wrong mindset. Instead, try saying, "Great. I made a mistake," which means I'm learning. Now, here's a challenge for our listeners. Change your mindset about mistakes starting today. The next time you make a mistake while speaking, don't stop. Instead, smile and keep going. If you do this, I guarantee you'll feel more confident in English.
I love that challenge. And here's another mindset shift. Believe that you are an English speaker. Some learners think, I'm just a student learning English. But if you start saying, I am an English speaker, your confidence will grow.
Absolutely. So, let's do a quick exercise. If you're listening right now, say this out loud, I am an English speaker. I can speak English with confidence.
Great. This simple mindset shift makes a huge difference because when you believe in yourself, you'll speak more and improve faster.
Exactly. So, to recap, here are 3 mindset changes you need to make. You don't need to be perfect to be fluent. Mistakes are part of learning. Embrace them. Believe that you are an English speaker, not just a learner.
That was powerful, Jason. Now let's move to the next step, how to train your brain to think in English. Because if you think in English, you'll never feel stuck.
All right, now that we've talked about changing your mindset, let's move to the next big step, learning to think in English. Because here's the truth. If you always translate from your native language to English in your head, you'll get stuck.
That's so true, Jason. Many learners get stuck because they try to form a sentence in their first language first, then translate it into English. But that takes too much time. Instead, the key is to start thinking in English directly.
Yes, and when you think in English, you'll be able to speak faster, feel more confident, and never freeze in a conversation. Julia, what are some ways learners can train their brain to think in English?
Great question. One of the easiest ways is describing things around you in English. Right now, look around and name objects in English. For example, if you see a table, think, this is a table. It's brown. It's made of wood. This simple exercise helps your brain get used to English.
I love that. And you can also do it with your daily routine. For example, when you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking in your first language, say in English, I am getting up. I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. This trains your brain to think in English naturally.
That's a great tip. And here's another one. Have silent conversations in your head. When you're walking or sitting alone, try to imagine talking to someone in English. Ask yourself questions and answer them, like, what am I going to do today? Or, what do I want to eat?
Yes. And if you don't know a word, don't stop. Instead, describe it. For example, if you forget the word umbrella, you can say, It's something you use when it rains to keep dry. This helps you think faster in English without getting stuck. All right, listeners, let's summarize some quick ways to start thinking in English. Name objects around you in English. Describe your daily routine in English. Have silent conversations with yourself. If you forget a word, describe it in another way.
Yes, if you practice these daily, you'll start thinking in English automatically, and you'll never have to translate in your head again.
Exactly. Now that we know how to think in English, let's move on to Solution 3, expanding your vocabulary the smart way. Because having the right words will help you feel even more confident. Now that we've learned how to think in English, let's talk about something just as important: active learning strategies. Because let's be honest, if you only study English passively, like watching videos or listening to podcasts without interaction, you won't improve as fast.
That's so true, Jason. Many learners listen to English for hours but still struggle to speak. Why? Because they're not using active learning strategies. So today, we're going to share some powerful techniques that will help you learn English faster and never get stuck.
All right, let's start with the first strategy: shadowing. Julia, can you explain how this works?
Of course. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say immediately, without pausing. It helps improve pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence.
Yes, and you can do this with podcasts, TV shows, or YouTube videos. Just pick a short clip, listen to a sentence, and try to repeat it at the same speed as the speaker.
And don't worry if you can't say it perfectly at first. Just keep practicing and your brain will get used to English sounds.
Great! Now, let's move to the next technique: the 5-second rule. This is a game changer. When someone asks you a question in English, give an answer within 5 seconds, no matter what.
I love this because many learners pause too long, thinking of the perfect answer. But in real life, you don't have time to translate. This forces you to think quickly and use the words you already know.
All right, here's another active learning method: teach someone else. Even if you're not an expert, when you explain something in English, you remember it better.
Yes, you can teach a friend, a family member, or even speak to yourself in the mirror. When you try to explain things, you train your brain to use English more naturally.
And here's one more trick: write short daily summaries in English. At the end of the day, write 3 to 5 sentences about what you did. This helps you practice thinking and writing in English without stress. All right, let's quickly recap the 4 active learning strategies we shared today. Shadowing repeat after native speakers to improve fluency. 5-second rule. Answer questions quickly to train your brain. Teach someone else. Explaining things helps you remember them. Daily summaries. Write a few sentences in English every day.
If you use even one of these methods daily, you'll improve so much faster and never feel stuck in English again.
Exactly. Now that we know how to learn actively, let's move on to Solution 4. The power of speaking every day. Because the best way to improve is to actually use English in real life. All right, we've talked about changing your mindset, thinking in English, and using active learning strategies. Now, let's focus on the most important part: keeping conversations flowing. Because let's be honest, many learners get stuck in the middle of a conversation and don't know what to say next.
Exactly. They pause, feel nervous, and sometimes even stop talking completely. But today, we're going to share some easy techniques to keep a conversation going smoothly, even if you don't know what to say.
All right, let's start with the first tip: use simple fillers instead of staying silent.
That's a great one. If you don't know what to say, don't just freeze. Instead, use fillers like, "That's a good question. Well, let me think. That's interesting." This gives you time to think without making the conversation awkward.
Yes, and here's another tip. Ask follow-up questions. Instead of just answering with yes or no, keep the conversation going. For example, A. Do you like traveling? B. Yes, I do. I love visiting new places. How about you? This makes the conversation more natural.
That's so important. And if you don't know what to ask, just use the WH questions. What do you think? Why do you say that? How did that happen? These questions make it easier to continue a conversation without stress.
All right, here's another trick. Paraphrase what the other person says. This shows that you're listening and helps you avoid awkward silences.
Yes. For example, if someone says, "I love reading books," you can say, "Oh, so you enjoy reading. What kind of books do you like?" That way the conversation keeps going.
And finally, the golden rule. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Many learners stop speaking because they're scared of saying something wrong. But mistakes are part of learning. All right, let's quickly summarize how to keep conversations flowing. Use simple fillers instead of staying silent. Ask follow-up questions to keep the conversation going. Use WH questions like what, why, how. Paraphrase what the other person says. Don't be afraid of making mistakes.
Exactly. If you practice these techniques, you'll never get stuck in a conversation again, and the more you talk, the more confident you'll feel.
That's right. Now that we know how to keep conversations flowing, let's move on to our final tip, Solution 5: Build Daily English Habits for Success. Because learning English is all about consistent practice. We've covered so many great strategies to help you never get stuck in English. Now, let's talk about one of the most important keys to success: making English a part of your daily life. Because the truth is, if you only study English once in a while, it's hard to improve.
That's right. The best English learners don't just study English. They live in English every day. And the good news is, you don't need to move to an English-speaking country to do this.
Exactly. So, here are a few simple ways to surround yourself with English every day. Change your phone settings to English. This helps you see English words all the time. Follow English-speaking content creators on social media. Watch their posts and read their captions. Think in English while doing daily tasks. For example, when cooking, say to yourself, "I'm cutting the vegetables. I'm boiling water." Label objects in your home. Write English words on sticky notes and place them on furniture, appliances, and everyday items.
I love those ideas. And another great habit is to talk to yourself in English. You can describe what you're doing, share your thoughts, or even pretend to have a conversation. It might feel funny at first, but it really helps with fluency.
That's such a powerful habit. And here's one last tip: make English learning fun. Watch movies, listen to music, play games, or join online communities where people speak English.
So let's summarize the best ways to make English part of your daily life. Change your phone settings to English. Follow English-speaking content online. Think in English throughout the day. Label objects in your home. Talk to yourself in English. Have fun with English. Watch movies, listen to music, and play games.
If you do even one or two of these things every day, English will become a natural part of your life, and you'll never feel stuck again.
That's right. And now, let's wrap up with a quick conclusion and final message for our listeners.
Wow! What an amazing conversation today. We've covered so many important strategies to help you never get stuck in English. From changing your mindset to making English a part of your daily life, these tips will truly transform the way you learn.
That's right. And remember, learning English is a journey, not a race. The key is to stay consistent, stay confident, and most importantly, keep practicing.
If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the like button and leave a comment telling us which tip helped you the most.
We also love hearing from you, so if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover in future episodes, let us know in the comments or send us a message.
And one last thing, share this podcast with a friend who's learning English. Learning together makes the journey easier and more fun.
That's it for today. Keep practicing, stay positive, and remember, you can do this.
We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, keep speaking, keep learning, and never stop improving. Bye for now.